So he's already won a stage in the Vuelta, I remember. And so Andreas Kroon is my favorite to win from a breakaway at plus 1400.
Hi, I'm Spencer Martin, along with Johan Bruyneel, and this is Outcomes.
Outcomes is not an online gambling operator or a gambling site of any kind. We are simply here to provide information about sports betting for entertainment purposes only. It is a responsibility of all visitors to this podcast to check current local laws in their area or country before doing any gambling online. It is your responsibility to know and follow your local laws in place. Although we try best to provide accurate information on Outcomes, we cannot be held responsible for any inaccurate or incorrect information which is mentioned on this show. If you place any bets based on the conversations on Outcomes, you confirm or understand that it is possible to lose some or all monies used when betting on sports or doing any gambling. You cannot hold Outcomes responsible for any such losses. Our podcast is here to provide entertainment and should be viewed as that and nothing more. Thanks for tuning in.
Everybody, welcome back to Outcomes. We are predicting stage 6 of the Vuelta a España. It's a 185 kilometer, I guess, medium mountain stage, small mountain stage, hilly stage. I don't know what we're calling this, Johan. It's actually incredibly hard to predict. These are some of the hardest days I think we do. So we're going to punt that for a few minutes, and I'm going to have you talk about today's stage. How did we get that so wrong? We picked Wout van Aert, we picked Caden Groves. Our wild cards were Corbin Strong and Arne Marit, and then Pavel Bittner. Really just like in a perfect sprint wins over Wout van Aert, who looked like he maybe didn't know where the finish line was. Threw his bike way too early, kind of had to stand up and sprint again. Maybe he wouldn't have won anyway because Bittner was going so fast. But what happened there? How did we miss that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I remember yesterday we said, Bittner's not going to win. He was 5th and 6th, different level of sprinters here. But, he's been knocking on the door. I did actually not know until today that he's only 21 years old. I mean, the way he won this sprint against Wout van Aert today there was no discussion. There was no circumstances. Walt did exactly the same thing like he did when he beat Caden Groves. He anticipated. He had surprised Caden Groves with a little bit earlier acceleration. But Bittner was in the wheel and could pass him at the end. It looked to me like Van Aert was a bit confused of where the finish line was because he threw his bike twice, which is very strange to see. But hey, listen, there was no incidents at all. Bittner won the sprint. I'm now, sad I didn't pick him yesterday. I think I picked him the first 2 sprints as the wild card, and we didn't do it yesterday. But we'll have to have him in mind from now on, especially because in a Tour of Spain like this is a rider now who has the confidence. He knows now that he can do it against those guys. And he's going to be one of the 3 now. It's if you have Van Aert and Caden Groves, I think from now on in the sprints we need to count Bittner with the 3 because he's been close. Otherwise, nobody has been close to those 2 guys.
Yeah, a lot of good Czech riders too. There's like another theme of this race, like the Czech youth wave coming in with Matthias Vicek. And then Bittner now. I mean, we should have stuck with Bittner. Like we talked about him in the preview show, and then we picked him for 2 of the sprint stages, and then we abandoned our boy. I don't know what we were thinking. The weird subplot. Did you notice this? Like Wout had a teammate with him, Visma teammate. He kind of like he never uses him. Teammate putters out to the side, and it distracted Groves, who looked at him, probably thinking that Van Aert was going that way. And then Van Aert went left instead of right, and Groves missed it. And he never recovered from that. So that was kind of I doubt they did it on purpose, but it was a decoy strategy almost. Yeah,
usually it's been Affini every single time, I think, who's the last guy. I think he's up there just in case it slows down a bit. He can go fast, but just not fast enough to have that extra, like Alpecin has they have 1 or 2 guys there who have a little bit more speed. But Affini's up there, and just in case it slows down and, he can bring Wall to the front for sure, but I don't think he can set the tempo until 300 meters to go. But, a very valuable rider, Affini is super strong, can take huge pulls, and it's always good for Wout. I mean, at least he was next to him. I noticed that he was up there, but and yesterday the same thing, I think. 2 days ago, the same thing. Yeah. He was up there also. the way it went, I thought it was going to be again, the two of them against each other, but Bittner spoiled the party.
Yeah, pretty impressive performance. Kind of an odd subplot is Van Aert loses a stage and then increases his points jersey lead, even though he's lost the last two intermediate sprints because he gets second, Groves gets third. Now he's up by 13 points. This also, I was thinking after the stage, like, everyone complains, oh, Tadej's winning too much. Tadej's winning too much. Like, win while you can, folks, because while Van Aert was on a hot streak for a few years, and now he cannot win a race. Like, it's so hard for him to win races, even though he's at an incredibly high level. Like, just win the races when you can, because you don't know if that's coming back ever.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I thought, sprints are sprints, so, he's still second today and, almost wins with a few centimeters. But listen, it's not a walk in the park, even for Wout van Aert. It's not like he's showing up at the Vuelta and he's going to win stages, we'll just go for stages. I always have to laugh when people say, I'll try to win stages. Why don't you just try to win one first, right?
That's a very good point.
Very difficult.
Yeah, we're going for stages. Yeah, it's like, well, one's tough. Think of who doesn't win a stage, almost everybody. But so tomorrow's stage 6, it's I'd say hard to classify. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 classified climbs. Finishes on a climb, probably not a summit. It's 9K long, 4% average. First half is steeper, like close to 6%, and then it flattens off. I'll list off the favorites on Unibet, and then the U.S. books are DraftKings, FanDuel. I had a few people reach out to me about FanDuel not seeing the Vuelta. I don't know why this is, but depending on where you live, FanDuel varies widely on what they offer. Like, sometimes they'll just offer the tour, sometimes they offer more than that, and then even the bets within the race vary on geography. I've noticed that when I travel around the country. I'm not quite sure why that is, but these are the odds from Unibet. I'll call out when I see better prices on the US books. Wout van Aert, the favorite, again, plus 500. Jonathan Narvaez, plus 800. Primoz Roglic, plus 1100. Andreas Krohn, plus 1400. Mauro Schmid, plus 1700. Peleo Sanchez, plus 2000. Matthias Weikek, plus 2500. Leonard Van Etvelt, plus 2500. He goes on and on. We'll call him out when we need to. Johan, first of all, how do you think this is going to play out, GC or breakaway, and who do you think is going to win?
I'm gonna say breakaway. It's not a pure mountain stage, although I'm just checking here. It's 3,700 meters of elevation. It's a hard stage. It's a hard stage.
Yeah,
man.
It is a hard stage.
Yeah, but we have this harder climb, the Cat 1 climb, after 70K, and then we have 3 Cat 3 climbs. 3 Cat 3 climbs. Finish on the last one. I still think it's going to be a breakaway, though. It's a hard race to control, especially all the responsibility on Red Bull, Bora, and Roglic. I can't see Movistar controlling. UAE, I think they have other plans. They have several cards to play. So I'm going to guess they're going to try to have people in breakaways. If it's a breakaway, of course, it's more difficult to predict. One of the guys that I really like for tomorrow, he's a breakaway specialist. He's a good climber. He seems to be in pretty good shape also, is Andreas Krohn. He's plus 1,400 on Unibet. And I could see him be in the break. He did well in San Sebastian. And he did well yesterday after having worked for Van Eetvelt at the beginning of the climb. Then he just kept going and still finished top 15, I think, only 40 seconds down. So he's already won a stage in the Vuelta, I remember. And so Andreas Krohn is my favorite to win from a breakaway at plus 1,400.
Yeah, I like this pick. Krohn, he's a good rider and then finished so high up on stage 4. He's not that far back in the GC, but he's also not a GC threat. So he's a good rider if you want to give the jersey to someone, that's a good candidate. Giving the jersey away, that's almost a dying art. You don't see it as much as you used to, but he's only 136 back. if Red Bull wants to punt that jersey, that's a great rider to give it to. That's also a good team because they'll accept it with open arms, even if it doesn't totally make sense for them to. If they're really going for the win at this race, they shouldn't want it, but that's so important for them to be able to say they had a leader's jersey in a Grand Tour. Plus 1,400, good price. But I mean, maybe this is silly. Maybe I'm going back to the Vuelta too much. But Wout van Aert, he has to get in this breakaway because there's sprint points. I cannot imagine he's going to miss this breakaway. There's sprint points halfway through the stage. What's he going to do after he gets those sprint points? He's not going to sit up. Wout van Aert doesn't sit up. He's going to keep going. That climb is not so hard that it's hard enough that someone like Krohn could think, I'll drop him. But it's not so hard that he couldn't hold on if he absolutely had to. And if it's any sort of sprint, you have to think he wins. He's plus 500 on Unibet, plus 700 on FanDuel. And, it's debatable if this is even possible, but it's a bit of a hedge too, because let's say it's not a breakaway day. Can he win out of the peloton? Maybe.
No.
No, you say no. Maybe think about 2021 Wout van Aert. Probably he could.
Yeah.
Really know if he's at that level anymore, though. Like the Calais stage, Van Aert, like he outclimbed everybody on a climb similar to this.
Yeah, well, this climb is harder. It's a lot longer. The Calais climb was a lot shorter. But no, I think it's Wout van Aert right now is. I mean, he hasn't lost his qualities, but he's not at that level right now. I do believe, however, Spencer, that he's going to be in the breakaway because tomorrow is an ideal chance for him to be in the break. He can be in there, and he knows that Caden Groves will not be in it because it's too hard for Caden Groves.
Yeah.
So that's a really good motivation, a part of the stage win to get, valuable points. Even if he doesn't win the stage, he would still score points if he's in the break. So I think he's going to be in the break. So then it depends of who's in there. I mean, from a breakaway, I could see him win on that last climb for sure.
I mean, what does he care about anything? Like there's a Cat 3 climb before the finish. What if he just attacks, tries to go solo, sees if there's group 2 syndrome behind? Like I don't see Wout van Aert has no concerns at this Vuelta other than getting in shape for Worlds. So it's not like he can, I can't afford if I get caught. It's like I'll try this and see if this works. He really has free reign to do anything. And you might say, he has Sepp Kuss to look after, but I don't think he might not be aware that Sepp Kuss is at this race. I think Wout van Aert's pretty focused on the rest of his season. He's going to do his job. I think he's going to do his job whenever he has to do his job. The thing is that I think for the moment, Sepp Kuss is not in a position to demand the full support of the whole team just for him. And I think, and what we also see in Visma is that they respect Wout van Aert so much that they are kind of trying to always create possibilities for him so he can be satisfied that he gets, opportunities. So I have no doubt Van Aert will do his job whenever he has to for the team, but it's not demanded yet, and definitely not in a stage like tomorrow. I mean, this is a rider that won a sprint stage, a time trial, and a mountain stage at the same Tour de France. You can't put. He's not Mikhail Kwiatkowski. You can't put him on like domestic duty full time. That would be absurd.
Yeah.
You're right. He's not climbing as well as he was when he did that. But I don't know. I'd feel real silly if he wins and I didn't pick him, especially at plus 700. If Krohn doesn't win, Johan, do you have a second pick?
Well, then we have the scenario of a potential battle between the GC guys, because for some reason, breakaway goes, whatever, Red Bull keeps it close, and then we never know in the Vuelta. A team starts to pull all of a sudden because they think that that their guy has a chance. For example, Lotto could do that because they believe in if Krohn is not in the break, they believe in Van Eetveld. I think I'm gonna my two choices are gonna be from breakaway. It's risky. It's very difficult to pick a guy from a breakaway. My second choice is Matthias Vacek, the Czech guy who did a great time trial, lost considerable time yesterday, but he's a rider I really like. He's aggressive. from a breakaway, he can definitely be in front on a stage like tomorrow, and especially at plus 2,500. Vacek from a breakaway is my second choice.
He's plus 2,500 on Unibet, plus 3,200 on FanDuel. He has a good finish, strong finish. I mean, people should be having nightmares about him. I mean, the guy he's so powerful. He can get in a move, and I wouldn't want to be in a breakaway with him. He can sprint fairly well. You're not going to drop him. Plus 3,200 on FanDuel. That's a really good price. Here's my concern, though, about this breakaway chatter. What if it's too hot? Like, let's say it's 35 degrees Celsius, like 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
It is going to be 30. No, it is going to be 35 degrees Celsius.
I
just checked the weather. Between 35 and 37.
That's hot.
Yeah.
And can a breakaway sustain the watts they need to sustain to stay in front of a peloton? Like, let's just say they don't get the gap they need. They get caught on the last climb. This is a GC stage. You'd think, Primož Roglič, obvious pick, plus 1,100. I'm going to zag, though. The poor man's Primož Roglič, Leonard Van Eetvelt, plus 2,500. We saw him almost win a sprint against Primož. That was a harder climb, a much harder climb. I kind of think, Johan's talked me into this, that on an easier climb, he might be the better sprinter. So I'm going to go Van Eetvelt he's plus 2,500 on Unibet, just as my GC hedge. If this is a peloton, like the peloton comes to the line, I think it's either Primož or Van Eetvelt, and I'm going to go Van Eetvelt.
He was really strong yesterday, Spencer. He's for the moment in the three strongest riders from what we've seen uphill. The guy's in shape. He has prepared specifically for this Vuelta with the intention of seeing where he can get in GC. He was already with the three guys, with Primož and with Enric Mas. He didn't seem ever in trouble on that steep part. Made the mistake yesterday by going after Landa and then, of course, celebrating. Don't know if it would have made a difference, though. But he's fast. He's fast, and I think compared to Primož tomorrow, if it's GC. There's a few things that go against Primož. Number one, he's the big favorite. His team needs to bring everything back. If we get to a situation where it's GC, that will mean that they will have set a tempo already. So they've burned up a few guys already. So will he have teammates left? That's one question. Probably Vlasov will be there. Dani Martinez, I don't know. Doesn't seem in great shape. Maybe Lipovic, but at some point Primož is going to have to do the work himself, and then that could be to the advantage of Van Eetvelt, who can basically take a back seat and look at Primož making those efforts and beat him in the sprint. I think he can beat him in the sprint, Van Eetvelt. So I like your choice.
When Primož, let's say he has to close down, I almost said Enric Mas. Enric Mas will not be attacking, but let's say he has to close down João Almeida. Another bad example, Antonio Tiberi. Primož would rather close those guys down and not let them get a time gap and then lose the sprint to Van Eetvelt. Mm-hmm. He doesn't care about losing 4 seconds to Leonard Van Eetvelt. Yeah. He cares about losing 10 seconds to Tiberi or Almeida. That would be a disaster. So I think he would rather close moves down from dangerous GC riders than beat Leonard Van Eetvelt in a sprint. Like getting second behind Van Eetvelt, that's a win for Primož tomorrow.
Well, and he can still win. I mean, listen, yesterday he did all the work and he still won. So.
Yeah, it was easier, though.
Tomorrow's climb is different. Tomorrow's climb is different. There's more draft. It's not as steep. You're going to pay a bigger price when you do too much work tomorrow.
It's funny that Red Bull came in with this strong team. I would have said the strongest team in the race. And then already on stage 6, we're like, he's going to be isolated in the end. But it doesn't seem, I don't know. I don't know how maybe they just had a bad day on that steep pitch on stage 4, but he looked real isolated, especially compared to UAE. And that could be.
Well, I think once Primož, especially now when he gets the jersey, then the other question is, Spencer, we haven't talked about this. Maybe Red Bull Bora decides to not defend the jersey and give it away to a team that will defend it for a few days. That's another scenario, and I could see that perfectly happening.
Well, I mean, you could even see like maybe this tactic is too modern, but let's say you send Florian Lipowitz in the breakaway, so you don't chase, you drive the breakaway. It has Andreas Krohn in it. Lipowitz wins the stage. Krohn gets the jersey, so you win another stage, and you give the jersey away. Not a terrible idea.
Yeah.
You do burn. Lipowitz burns a lot of energy, though, and you might want to save him.
But you know, I hate to use this phrase, Spencer, especially with you. It's not PlayStation, you know.
that is verging on PlayStation right there.
We're gonna decide. Okay, we'll send this guy. Yeah, no, it doesn't. I don't know. Listen, if they have a guy in the breakaway, it puts him in a great spot tomorrow. They can say, okay, you know what? We don't care. We have a chance to win the stage. We want to give the jersey away anyway. It's always good to have a guy in there.
Yeah. The flip side is if we were running a team, probably a conversation we would be having is the main thing we would be worried about is probably the heat. So it's like, how can we keep our guys from overheating? Yeah. Sitting out in a breakaway for a few hours is not a great way to do that. So I kind of wonder.
Yes and no. It depends. You know, I mean, if you have if you have a good enough advantage, you have a team car close always.
Yeah.
Peloton. Plus, you have one of those motorbikes with drinks all the time. You know, nowadays, it's not necessarily a disadvantage to be in a breakaway of 7-8 guys because you have access to more liquids than if you were in the peloton where a teammate has to go back to the car and bring it up all the time.
We're not supposed to talk about it, but 2006 Tour, I think that's like Landis had that car and he was just dumping bottles on himself like all day. Yeah. Probably a big advantage if you think about it.
Yeah.
So head-to-heads,
have you ever heard of? I mean, I've never seen it, but I wonder if it would be allowed. There must be a reason why they don't do, but we never see riders put on ice vests.
I know. Especially if you're in a breakaway, you could be swapping it out.
Yeah,
that's an interesting idea. Maybe you're not allowed to do it, but you can put those bottle vests on. Why not an ice vest?
Yeah.
It's a good point, especially for if you're going all in for a breakaway win and you just put 6 ice vests and a cooler in the car, throw a new one on every hour. Why not? Someone should try it if they're listening. So head-to-heads, these on FanDuel. Richard Carapaz, -220. Adam Yates, +162. Do we feel that good about Carapaz? I'm confused by this line.
Yeah, but still, I mean, they both don't look good, you know?
Does Carapaz care, though? I mean, if he's not in the breakaway, does he really fight?
I think Carapaz is still gonna try to maintain his chances for GC. Adam Yates, on the other hand, I think he probably doesn't care anymore.
Do you know where he's sitting on his own team?
What's that?
He's sitting 6th on his own team in GC.
Okay, well then he does
probably
not care
out of it.
Yeah.
No, sorry, 5th, not 6th.
Where is he in GC?
He's 22nd, 2 minutes down, basically.
Okay.
Above Carapaz.
Huh.
But these guys go hard to the line, you know, like Adam Yates I feel like he never takes it easy to the line.
That's true. Yeah. I think I'm going to go for Adam Yates here.
I would recommend that just for if it was even, I would go Carapaz, but for the odds, I'd go Yates. Primoz Roglic, -235. Lennart Van Etfeldt, +172. Interesting because these guys will sprint no matter what, even if it's a breakaway.
Yeah.
I'd go Van Etfeldt.
Me too. For tomorrow's stage, I'll go Van Etfeldt.
Yeah. Mika Landa, -176. Sepp Kuss, +136. Landa looks great. Like, the guy is. I feel like people don't give him his due when he looks good, but he looks in incredible form. Mike Woods, -186. Damiano Caruso, +136. This is the really. I don't want to pick this one.
Yeah, that's difficult. Where does Caruso sit?
Well, they finished within one spot of each other on stage 4, 45th and 46th. So they're probably both around 4 minutes down, if I had to guess.
Yeah, Caruso. Yeah. Oof. Well, obviously they don't have good legs, neither of them.
I mean, the only thing is if Woods is in the break, and he gets fifth in the break or something, or he's not going to.
Caruso can be in the break too.
True. Is this a Caruso break day though? Or does he wait?
Could be, but usually he would. I think usually he would probably wait until the second part of the Grand Tour. Let's do what Michael Woods.
Okay, Mike Woods minus 186, Joao Almeida minus 186, Enric Mas plus 136. This is actually harder than it appears at first.
I think Almeida's faster.
He is faster. This type of stage, though. This is flashing red lights for Joao Almeida. This is the type of climb where you're like, how did he lose 2 minutes? What happened? But those days are maybe behind him, I hope.
Yeah.
Okay, Almeida minus 186. Let me see if we can bet on the points. What's the points at right now? And then we'll go points classification. Ooh, Van Aert minus 290. Yeah, hopefully you got him at minus 155 because I don't think it's going to get any better than that. And I think he extends his lead tomorrow. And then Roglic is already up to plus 500 on the mountains. He was plus 1,100 just 2 or 3 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Johan, do you have anything else to add before we go?
No, I don't have anything else.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And we'll talk tomorrow for stage 7.
Okay, Spencer. Thanks.